We're welcoming him in Chris K. Chris, what's going on, buddy? It wasn't that long ago we were doing some shows here after the first best ball draft. Man, it's been a month and a half, almost 2 months already. So time flies, and with the season right around the corner, things are really going to get heating up. We sort of, I know for me, kind of died down with some of the drafting because it's all about getting ready for the season. And it's been a long draft season already, but a fun one. So we're kind of wrapping up. You've been in all 4 best ball drafts, man. So just kind of this show is a sort of a way of just a big thank you for participating in those, and really just for more time for people to put faces with the names of everybody that kind of participates in these drafts. We put the results up on the site. And so I always thought it would be interesting to kind of let the community get to know the personality and the faces behind the names that we post up there on the site, man. So welcome in. What's been going on?
Not much. Just trying to, get through the summer. That's why I've been in all 4. Just trying to have some fun and have some entertainment there. And at the point in the season or off season that I'm prepping for the fantasy season coming up, I'm more, like I've always said, I'm more of the daily guy. So the off season, I actually get to take off, unlike you. And ready to ramp it up a little bit.
Yeah. So how would you say in regard, first of all, you could find Chris on Twitter at realist. Is it at realist Chris K?
Yeah.
Realist Chris K. That's right. Find him on Twitter. He's always tweeting college fantasy football stuff. He's got his finger on the pulse. And, here's a question for you. How much time do you spend as far as seasonal versus DFS, man? And really, I guess, what's been the evolution for you? I mean, where was it maybe 3 years ago compared to what it is today?
Well, I would say right now I'm at I do 15 to 20 hours a week of daily stuff, and seasonal is just literally plugging in who I think, just based, I do all the daily stuff. And then on Saturday morning, I just throw the lineup in. I get bit sometimes because I'm more focused on the daily side of things, that a guy might be hurt and I forget to swap him out. But
yeah,
3-4 years ago, it wasn't as huge of a deal. I was playing differently. So it was way closer to 50-50, 60-40 for seasonal stuff. But as the sports progressed on DraftKings and stuff like that, it's definitely gone heavy towards the daily side of things.
Well, with the management, with the roster management in daily, I'm assuming your preferred method of seasonal is best ball, like we do then, right?
Oh,
it kind of takes out the in-season management for you.
Yeah, I've loved the evolution of how that's come along. And I'm not going to join any redraft leagues. I've joined maybe 1 or 2 last year. I think I might join 1 max this year, because best ball has just been so fun with the slow drafts and it just low maintenance.
Yeah, well, in the drafts you've done this spring and this summer, what are some of the biggest takeaways for you from what you've seen throughout the college fantasy football landscape, whether it be with particular players or positional depth or whatnot? What are some of the maybe a trend or 2 that you've noticed throughout this off season?
I'd say 2 big things I think are I've just loved the receivers that are available. For the first 5 rounds, I have such a hard time passing on these guys. There's just so many of them in those first 5 rounds that it's just hard not to pass up and go heavy on receivers. The other one would be for me, if I'm not getting one of the first 4 or 5 quarterbacks, I just default till 5th or 6th round, get a DTR, maybe Hayner a little bit later type, and then load up on those 12 to 18 rounder quarterbacks like Dugan and Jerkovich and all those guys. There's just a lot of the middle tier that are really good with a little separation. It's just personal preference that I think it makes a lot of sense to wait till then.
Yeah, it seems what the consensus is. It's the quarterbacks are heavy at the top, and then after that, you seem to you can kind of sit back and wait a little bit. A lot of depth towards the mid and late rounds, based on your fantasy rosters of what you've done throughout this preseason. Who's the guy that you need to pop for you? Where are you most heavily invested?
Shaker and Booty. I've had them as a combo in every league I'm in. I purposefully. I was in a eliminator league a couple weeks back, maybe a month ago, and I was I had pick 11, and I was telling people, I'm going to take Booty from LSU. Please, someone take him. Because I just don't want to be Emory Jones level of invested like you are. So, but those are the 2 guys for sure. I have a lot of Pickett, but that's such a late pick, it doesn't matter. But those 2 receivers are the big guys for me for sure.
Yeah, you know what? You know, it's funny, Chris, is that if you would have told if somebody would have asked me before the season if I was who the one player, the odds of investing in one player in almost every league that I play, who would it be? I would have never, ever said Emory Jones back in April. It just worked out like that. Once when I
Yeah,
was 2 drafts in, it just and then it became a little bit of a joke. And then once when I had him in 85% of the drafts, I said, what
you
the
got to
hell?
go
Let's put him
full.
on 100. Let's corner the market, right? So
Yeah.
here's a good question. This is where it sort of gets fun and we turn the corner a little bit. Who would be a fun flop, right? We don't wish an injury on any player, right? But who would be a fun player based on sort of the talk around the industry, around the guys, your low level investment? What would be a fun flop? What player would be a fun flop this year?
Okay, so
And it could be more
well,
than one.
I'd say that okay, so there's two here, and then I'll reverse it. So the most fun flop to me would probably be like Christopher Rodriguez because of how Kyle's been talking about him.
Okay.
And then to reverse it, Bijan would be the worst flop because we'd never hear the end of it. I mean, he would just roast us till the cows come home. In terms of another fun flop, I have him in a lot of leagues, so like I really hope it doesn't happen. I kind of with my Auburn background, well, ties. I have had Malik Willis in a ton of dynasty leagues and have some really good rosters because of it. Obviously, if he stunk, it would be pretty funny. I think it would be kind of the first overall pick, kind of like Hubbard was last year for me.
Yeah.
And also it would validate Andrew Katz, which is just always a great. It's always great when it validates Andrew.
Yeah, it really does. Well, you never know, man, because I mean, when you look back every year, I mean, we could probably go back 10, 12, I mean, for as
Yep.
long as we've been playing college fantasy football, there's always a couple of guys that we are pretty much think are surefire first round bets that flop. So there is going to be a player or two. Now, whether it's injury or whatnot, we don't know that, but we can't tell. But you're right. It's always fun to kind of pick a flop, not necessarily a bust player, but somebody based on all the smack talk that's been going on within the group.
Yeah.
The flops, right? So, how many drafts, how many leagues, how many college fantasy football leagues would you say that you participate in between best ball, traditional? Yeah, it doesn't sound. You sound like you might be the the least amount invested of all of us.
I'm probably at like 7 best balls.
Oh, well, that's not bad.
Yeah, I did a couple eliminators on the side, and then, well, we joked about it a couple guys a week or two ago that like there were some Debbie guys kept joining these eliminator leagues. So like to us, the edge was just so much there. Andrew and I were talking about it.
Yeah,
because they're not familiar with some names and they're over familiar with others, so they draft them high. It gets a weird drafts. And then I'm probably in 3 dynasties, and I'll probably do 1 redraft. So like I'm at like 11, 12 range.
gotcha. How many are you going to win?
Probably 0, to be honest. If you ask Mike, he'd probably say I will get last in most of them. It's tough for dynasty, right? Mike is he's one of the best at dynasty, right? And part of that is because I don't think he's so invested in daily like I am. Like he's spending an hour or two, maybe Monday, he's probably spending 2 to 3 hours up until Wednesday looking at waiver stuff. And, I look at the box scores, I see the guys, but I'm more focused on spending 2 to 3 hours a day on like the projection side of things.
Yeah.
That he like will add those like flyer sleeper types and then they hit. And then I'm stuck over here with,
well, it's just a process,
roster.
I think, of what Mike does and what I have done, on a weekly basis. You get into that situation where, you are, you're looking at the rankings, you're looking at the rankings, you're looking at the depth charts all week. And so what you think, on Monday changes by Wednesday or Thursday. And then sometimes you do find a diamond in a rough, man. So I have a fun question for you right here, Chris. I've asked this of all the guys, and I think this is a really fun question here. You participate in a lot of drafts, always have over the years. I mean, a lot of us have been doing, whether it's college, professional, fantasy. I think this question applies to anything. What's the one thing that guys do in drafts that just drive you absolute batshit crazy, man? What's one bad habit or something happens, pet peeves during drafts that just drives you crazy?
I mean, I think everybody, especially in our league, hates people that take forever for sure. That feels like the common pick. I would say like the guys that like load up on like tight end early or something weird. I'm just like, that just feels so bad. Like, why would you do that? Like, that just feels like that's the ultimate loss strategy. Trying to think of anything else that might be potentially good.
Yeah. Any bad habits that guys or just like for when you've got the 2-hour timer like we do, and yet you tag in the guy on Twitter for like an hour and a half, and then they happen to respond 10 minutes before they're going off the clock, right? I mean, that's the one
I will say the thing that probably annoys me the most is when I see like the green arrow next to your name for like an hour, or like even worse, you DM everybody, hey, I'm here, like give me a second, and it takes you like 30 minutes, and I'm like, we've had the full round back and forth. Like, how are you not? You have no queue. Like you don't have.
So that was my point too, right? Like, how can you not have 15 players in a queue? I mean, I'm with you. I think when it gets to guys, and look, it could be any draft that I'm in. It gets to a guy, he's got a green dot right there in the draft room, and it takes him 30 minutes to make a pick, almost like he's going back 2 rounds, scratching everybody off, and then reevaluating his roster. Oh, that one gets me every time. It's like,
yeah,
hey, come on, if you don't have names in
the big
the
one,
queue already, come on.
Yeah, I just don't get it, right? Like, everybody here has done all these drafts. Like, kind of the trends.
Yep.
And where your team's at. Like, I know you're staring at this team at like 11 o'clock at, that meme where like the wife is like, he's probably thinking about some other girl, and like the guy's like turned over, like eyes open, and it's like thinking about his daily fantasy team. Like, that's exactly what we're doing. Like, we're sitting at bed thinking of that.
How did you like the nice little wrinkle I incorporated in there for Mr. John Lobb, that if he didn't average less than 20 minutes per pick, that he was going to lose his sleep timer privileges?
That man is busy. He's got a bunch of jobs and kids. Not all of us have kids to worry about, but I was a big fan of it. Don't tell him I said that.
All right, so here we go. I use the term. I think the term college fantasy football expert gets tossed out a little loosely. I can't stand when I see that. I like to think of us more as like industry influencers, right? I mean, I think what we're trying to do is have fun, play college fantasy football, help some people along the way, and make it entertaining and help people. Really, that's all we're trying to do, and kind of keep from the retention rate. Keep the retention rate up and the attrition rate low for college fantasy football. But if we're going to use the term college fantasy football expert or industry influencer, what's your rating of yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, man?
Influencer, and I'm like low, man. I'm like a 3.
Yeah, why? Why are you so low?
I'm so daily focused that I don't necessarily hit you with like the facts and knowledge that some people do. Like, Nate is always tweeting about stuff. It doesn't benefit me a ton to talk about certain guys. I'll do more stuff sparingly, but the thing that I think about us is like, we're like weathermen in a sense, right? Like, most of the time we're wrong, but we're just giving you like what it should happen, but we're relying on 18 to 22-year-olds.
Yeah.
So like anything can happen.
If you had to cap a percentage on Nate's hit percentage of his hot takes that he gives, how often does he hit?
I mean, I think everybody's hot take percentage is going to be pretty low. It's probably around 15 to 20%. I mean, max. Yeah, I think everybody's like pretty low in general, but I mean, he talks about enough people that, I think a lot of us have that strategy of like, if I talk about enough people, that I can go back and reference that.
Well, when you're if I'm going to use it and put it in compared to your meteorologist terms, 15 to 20% means that I'm probably not getting rain, so I might not hit. So there you go.
Exactly.
There we go. So how about this? This is where it gets a little fun, right? So I'll start off with, I've asked every guy this real quick: beer or cocktail for you, man?
I mean, mixed drink for sure.
Mixed drink. What you got?
Rum and Coke, whiskey Coke. I drink, most of my drinks are Jack Honey and Coke Zero.
What kind of rum?
It used to be Captain Morgan, to be honest. It's just, I need a dark rum. I can't do clear. It just doesn't taste good to me.
Have you had Bumbu?
I have not.
Oh, it's so good.
Should I try that?
35%. Really good. Okay. Get some of that. Here you go. The next, do you swear much?
Yeah, for sure.
What's your go-to word?
I mean, everybody's go-to word is fuck, right? Like,
Okay.
that's
All right. Just
go-to one.
no, not everybody's. You'd be
Uh,
surprised. I mean, some people out there are boring and they just say shit. And it's like, okay, well, that's kind of boring, right?
that's my go-to one for sure.
Okay. Well, I think that's probably a lot of people, especially when I'm not doing too well or um, I lose that guy 2 plays into the game and then
Oh
lose
yeah,
it for the rest of the game.
it
That's a
ramps
big
up in
fuck
the
right
fall
there,
for
right?
sure.
That's when you just turn the TV off and you dropping a big F bomb right there.
Oh, I mean, what you're doing at that point is you just start building the next slate's lineups.
Yeah.
You know, when you're building the next slate's lineups at like
That's it.
12:20, it's not a good sign.
So here you go, man. So look, you are in all 4 drafts.
Yep.
I've kind of labeled the term just sort of the CFF site Gauntlet, best ball Gauntlet, right? Where we're going to put a little side pool up. I think each guy will put up about $10. We'll keep a point system on who finishes the best in all 4 leagues combined. Whether or not you, me, anybody else wins it, it's only one. It's winner take all, right? Now, maybe you don't win it, Chris. Maybe you don't. But if you don't, who's the one guy you sure the hell just want to finish above?
Mike, 100%. I mean,
Mike?
I tell him sometimes, I'm like, I think it was like the 2nd or 3rd draft. I was like, I hate that I love your team so much. But like, he never returns the favor. He never tells me my team is any good. Like, if you're a good friend, you lie about it. I mean, at the very least.
Well, you know what? We might get all right. So yeah, I'm with you on that. But Mike's got a big target on his back. Apparently, he was a very popular answer. I'm doing 11 of these and 10 excluding Mike, and you're number 9, and I would say he's come up about 50% on that answer. So, Mike, you've got a target on your back, man.
I believe it.
Here we go. Here's another one. Who is what? All right. So think about our DM thread. We create a new one every draft. There's a lot of guys that get in there and say some sarcastic shit, say a bunch of stuff. Who's the most annoying guy in the group, man?
Ooh, I mean, Kyle, right? Like, he just continues pushing the draft along. Is he an actual like co-commissioner? Because for a while I was like, all of a sudden, is that a joke? Is it real? Like, he's acting like he like is leading the thing.
So what people don't know is that Big Bear, which he refers to himself as, Big Bear was like, hey, Granddaddy Joe, if you're going to go get your 5-mile jog in the evening, and we've got all these placeholders going, why don't you just slide me some co-commish rights, and I'll go ahead and take care of some stuff for you. So in the first draft, I was really weary of handing over the reins to Kyle because there was no telling how he was going to
no telling.
But it was kind of trial and error in the draft, in the second draft. And from there, he just wanted to tell everybody. I think by the 4th draft, he became the commissioner of the league, and I probably lost all the rights to be commissioner because he was telling me, "Hey, look, man, I'm getting the 4th best ball league up. Are you in it?" I was like, "Hold up, I'm getting the 4th best ball league up."
That sounds exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, all of a sudden, I'm like, wait a second, what's going on here?
You give the guy an inch, he takes a yard. You give him a yard, man. He takes a league. And that's just the way it is. And yet he wants to brag about a timer. And the guy literally he doesn't take any time to pick. I think his sole goal is to win the clock race and have the fastest draft. If
he's never been on manual.
In his perfect world, everybody would be on auto draft and we would make 26 rounds of picks, 2 seconds each, and it would be over with in 40 minutes.
I think he actually, part of me thinks he builds a queue of like 500 players and just like lets it draft. Like, he just puts on auto pick and then like goes and does something else for the rest of the time. Because like, I don't understand how you build your team that way, but it feels like it sometimes.
He actually tells me he builds a queue of 141 players in memory of his peepaw, who he said lived to the age of 141. So
I love that.
How about that? So look, here's good, man. You've got a night out with the guys, right? Guys being our group. You could take 3 guys with you. Who are you going to take with you, man? Where are you going? What are you doing? 3 guys from the group. Where are you going that night? What are you doing? Who are you taking with you?
I'm going to take. Ooh, let me get the list of guys up real quick. This is a good question.
Well, if you don't know them, how are you going to take them?
Well, they're on my. I got a list. Oh, exactly. I would say. I mean, Mike. That guy's a partier like I've ever seen one. So, I mean, he's always out and about.
Yeah, he's probably
Uh,
trashed as we're
you
recording
know,
this show.
yeah, probably. I'd probably go Joe, I'd go with you too. And I think I'd just go to something like a cigar bar type, and I definitely would bring in that scenario Nate.
I definitely have enough stories for you, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's the fun. I don't like to go out to clubs and do all that stuff that
Yeah.
Mike likes to do, but I think Mike would be fun in this scenario. Bring Nate along. We could just literally sit at a bar, smoke a cigar, and drink scotch and just like or whiskey and just fuck around and just chill.
Yeah, then you'd have two guys with some pretty good hair and two guys with hats with their hats on backwards. So, I mean, that would
Yes.
be right.
Yes.
That'd be exactly it, man. I mean, look, you get a lot for your hair, man, but I mean, hell, when you have it, you got to use it. I think guys are just jealous, man.
I'm not kidding you. I went from like age of 17 to 27 or something like that with like a one guard haircut all the way around. So finally I grow it out a little bit for a girlfriend, of course. The beard as well for a girlfriend, which you probably can't even imagine me without one at this point. And it kind of stuck. So it's just kind of gone from there. If I was more famous, I think I would have a Twitter account for the hair.
Well, Lob said that when he thinks of you, he thinks of Carson Palmer. So
yeah,
there you go.
I saw the teaser and I'm like, what did Lob say about me? Like, I have to watch it for this. Like, if there was one thing to make sure that I watch this, it's him saying something about me. It could be great. It could be awful. I have no idea, but
that's the whole point of this. That I was like, hey, let's record some stuff and let's put it out there for the group. And I think we'd both all have fun watching it, making fun of one another. And then I was like, no, we've got to put it out there for everybody to see. And in the process, I was like, ooh, what's one thing to really get people ramped up? And just like Froton said, DeSalvo's the ultimate hype man. And it's like, let's create some snippets and put it out there on the thread and leave people hanging on what's actually being said about them. And it gets everybody pumped up. And I think this is going to be fun, man. So we're going to put these up. I do have to ask you, though, before we go. I'm very observant. You leave me very little to notice, but damn, that picture behind you looks like it's from about 1982.
I'm at my in-laws and I don't.
It looks like you know what that horse looks like. He looks lonely. He looks like cats after a really bad draft in year, and just like he's just sulking. The poor thing looks depressed.
It's like all 11 of us are just hanging out over here or like over there, and he's just like looking at us like, "You don't want to invite me?" No, my in-laws. My wife was an equestrian in that like field, that sport.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, the upstairs is like a hall of fame of her. So it's like trophies, medals, pictures of horses. Like the other side of this, I'm going to show you the other side real quick. There's another horse. It's like, actually, it looks kind of teary-eyed, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just impressive what they have done up here. So
well, that's good, because it's a good thing you're not in the medal room, because I would have asked you to give us an explanation of all, but maybe next year when we do this, we get a little walkthrough tour if we catch you at the in-laws house.
We'll do an MTV Cribs. We'll do an MTV Cribs.
That's it. You've got it. Hey, look, Chris, man, I can't thank you enough for doing this. It's been fun. I'm almost done getting through with everyone, and I'm going to get this up, and I think it's going to be fun for a lot of the folks in the college fantasy football community, just to be able to put some faces and personalities behind everyone that participates in these best ball drafts every year, man. The season's almost here. Once when the season gets here, time becomes short, and we don't keep in touch as much as we always do. But I look forward to doing this again next year, man. Hopefully you'll be back in and be a part of the whole thing with us all over again. So thanks for coming in, man.
Yeah, of course. I'll be in. Thanks for holding all of this. At the very least, if 13 people watched all these things, at least we had a great time doing it. That's the fun part of it. So
that's it, brother. All right, man. Till next time.